Thanks for joining us. I'm Rosambo and you're watching News at 10. In our top stories tonight, over 15,000 restaurants offer menu rahmah from today. Azizul Hasni Pandalila Renom, crowned sportsman and sportswoman for year 2021. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has pledged to fight against misappropriation and will not compromise on any form of corruption to ensure that there will be a big difference in next year's Corruption Perception Index (CPI) score. Noting that his administration is still a new one, Datuk Sri Anwar said the government will be consistent in offering its continuous support to the MACC to combat corruption.
Ada masalah besar dalam negara kita dari atas sampai ke bawah dan kita mesti tegas betul, tidak tolak langsung. Pastinya kalau ada tindakan yang keras, ini masih baru gitu. Kerajaan ini baru lagi kan. Tapi insya-Allah kita boleh secara konsisten. Saya beri dukungan penuh kepada SPRM.
The Prime Minister said this when met by reporters at the 2021 National Sports Awards ASN ceremony held at the National Sports Council Banquet Hall in Bukit Jalil today. Malaysians can now enjoy RM5 meals for lunch or dinner at nearly 15,000 food premises nationwide from today through the Menu Rahmah initiative. The menu comprises a balanced meal that includes rice, a choice of protein, either chicken or fish, and vegetables, which is being offered to those affected by the current increase in the costs of living. However, domestic trade and cost of living, KPD Minister Datuk Sri Salahuddin Ayub said he observed that some traders were also offering different food items such as fried noodles, rojak, roti john and kebab wrap or shawarma.
Mereka boleh sebut mereka inginkan menu rahmah dan pihak KPDN dengan kerjasama semua kedai-kedai tadi, kedai restoran mamak, restoran India, Tom Yum, kita akan letakkan satu pelekat dengan adanya simbol menu ramah ini, di mana bila mereka nampak menu itu, mereka boleh pergi dan mendapatkan makanan.
Speaking to reporters after launching the program in Subang Jaya today, he said the program would continue as long as the food outlets are willing to cooperate in providing the services. The government has approved an immediate allocation of RM7 million as a quick win solution to floods in this district, including the problem of stagnant floodwaters. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said the allocation, which will be used to clear clogged drains and buy water pumps, will be channelled by the National Disaster Management Agency NADMA through the Implementing Agency Drainage and Irrigation Department GPS.
Dan di dalam keadaan itu, langkah-langkah quick win ini akan dilakukan dalam tempoh hanya seminggu dua ini untuk kita lihat keberhasilannya. Terutamanya di dalam mengorek parit-parit yang sebu, yang kadar lumpur dan kadar sampah sarap yang berada di dalamnya, dalam parit itu telah menyebabkan berlaku penyumbatan.
Apart from this, the Deputy Premier said JPS has suggested the full use of water pumps to drain out water immediately, especially during a receding tide. He said this after visiting the Flood Relief Centre at the Wan Orang Ramai Sri Medan today. Also present during the visit were Johor Menteri Besar Datuk Wan Hafiz Ghazi and State Secretary Tan Sri Azmi Rohani. Indonesia has welcomed the policy changes and the alignment of foreign worker management function in Malaysia. Home Affairs Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said the matter was discussed during his meeting with Indonesian Manpower Minister Ida Fauziah and Law and Human Rights Minister Yasona Lawli yesterday. The discussion, among other things, was in conjunction with the working visit of delegations from the Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of Human Resources to the country. Indonesia is the first source country for foreign workers visited by the delegations following the meeting between Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and Indonesian President Joko Widodo earlier this month. Datuk Seri Saifuddin said in a statement today he had explained the policy changes in Malaysia on the alignment of the management of foreign workers, including the Foreign Worker Employment Relaxation Plan and the extension of the Recalibration Plan for Illegal Immigrants 2.0, which will tackle manpower needs in critical sectors to drive the country's economic development. He also said the meeting with the Indonesian ministers also touched on the enforcement of immigration and labour laws involving Indonesian workers, the management of the repatriation of prisoners and immigration detainees, among others. He added that the discussion also involved cooperation in immigration and border control to ensure the stability and security of both countries. Lembaga Tabung Haji TH has issued the license to 23 local tourism companies, including its subsidiary TH Travel and Services Sdn Bhd, to operate as the Hajj pilgrimage operators PJH for the 1,444 Hajj 2023 Hajj season. TH Executive Director Dato Sri Syed Saleh Syed Abdul Rahman said the selected tourism companies have strong capacity, sufficient expertise and experience, and are authoritative in providing the best service and looking after the welfare of the pilgrims. Elaborating further through a statement released recently, Datuk Sri Syed Saleh said registered tourism companies can apply to become licensed PJHs, which were elected annually after meeting the prescribed conditions. He also reminded all prospective pilgrims who wish to perform Hajj this year to be more careful and choose packages provided by licensed PJH companies only. He also said prospective pilgrims who intend to go to the Holy Land through PJH need to register with a company of their choice after receiving an offer letter to perform the pilgrimage. For more information, the public can visit TH's official website or contact the TH call centre. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Syed Saleh said that the act of offering, advertising and organising Hajj packages without TH's approval by any individual or travel agency is an offence that can be charged under Section 27 of the TH Act 1995. He also reminded Malaysians to always obey the rules of the Saudi Arabian government by using the Hajj visa and not the tourist visa to perform the fifth pillar of Islam. The Malaysian Aviation Commission MAVCOM has received and approved all 44 air traffic rights ATR applications in the fourth quarter of 2022. In a statement today, MAVCOM said 4 Qs ATR applications, which consisted of 28 international and 16 domestic routes, showed an increase of 15.8% compared with the third quarter of 2022. Executive Chairman Datuk Sri Saripuddin Kasim said the gradual resumption of air travel since the reopening of regional and international borders has boosted the ATR applications rate for the quarter, which was especially driven by the opening of new domestic routes. MAVCOM said of the 44 ATRs allocated, My Airlines was awarded the highest number of approvals, receiving 12 out of 16 domestic ATRs, followed by AirAsia, AirAsia X and Batik Air Malaysia with 9 ATRs each. Meanwhile, Firefly and Raya Airways were each granted 2 ATRs and Malaysia Airlines was awarded 1 ATR approval. In terms of year-on-year comparison, MAVCOM reported a 31% jump in ATR applications in 2022 compared to 2021, an increase of 29% compared to 2020. It said following steady recovery throughout 2022, ATR applications reached 78% of the pre-pandemic level in 2019. MAVCOM said it also approved 52 more ATRs in 2022 than in 2021 for international passengers travel, indicating the positive impact for worldwide reopening of borders that set the industry on the path of recovery. Datuk Sri Saripuddin noted that to support the aviation industry's recovery, MAVCOM had granted ATR approvals to airlines for new destinations across the Asia Pacific, such as Australia and Bangladesh, among others. coming up, fixed line internet unity package for B40 to be introduced. The government plans to establish the Malaysian Cyber Security Commission as part of efforts to strengthen cybersecurity in the country. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fazil said KKD would cooperate with related agencies like Cybersecurity Malaysia, CSM, to set up the commission.
Tapi yang penting kita tak boleh tunggu sampai terbentuknya Suruhanjaya barulah kerja-kerja menjamin keselamatan cyber itu berjalan dengan baik. Maka sementara waktu saya akan berbincang dengan pihak antara pihak kementerian dan juga pihak Cyber Security Malaysia apa yang perlu kita lakukan sekarang ya untuk selesaikan masalah berhubung keselamatan cyber.
Fahmi also said several amendments affecting KKD agencies, such as the Personal Data Protection Department, JPDP, National Film Development Corporation Malaysia FINAS, and Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission MCMC, would be tabled in the coming Dewan Rakyat session, which begins on 13 of February. Fahmi also said that the review of 5G network implementation in Malaysia would be completed by the end of March, and the process was now at the stage of gathering feedback and meeting with all relevant parties. On 13 of January, the minister said the policy on 5G implementation by Digital Nasional Berhad, DNB, will be tabled before the cabinet by the end of the first quarter of this year. On another note, Fahmi said a fixed-line internet unity package will be introduced specifically for the B40 group in the country. Speaking at the monthly gathering of the Communications and Digital Ministry in Putrajaya, he said KKD Secretary-General Datuk Seri Muhammad Mentik had been directed to hold negotiations with the relevant parties concerning the package. Before this, Fahmi had unveiled the portable internet prepared Unity package data plan, which is 2 times cheaper at RM5 per month, but is 3 times faster, which is scheduled to hit the market in February. The implementation of this package involves 5 telecommunications service providers, namely Celcom, DG, Maxis, Umobile, Telekom Malaysia TM, and YTL Communications.
Kita nak bantu, satu, lengkapkan 3% akses internet ataupun akses ya yang belum lagi diselesaikan, 3%. Masa yang sama prasarana kita nak selesaikan masalah pothole yang berlaku untuk 97% yang lain.
Fahmi said he and his deputy Teo Ni Ching would ensure that internet issues would be resolved as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Fahmi said he has been appointed spokesman for the Unity government to handle the media. Fahmi, who confirmed this today, said that Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim had issued a directive at the cabinet meeting 2 weeks ago that he and the Ministry of Communications and Digital, KKD, would act as a representative or spokesperson for the government, especially when dealing with the media. Fahmi said the media conference after the cabinet meeting every Wednesday will be handled by him if the Prime Minister is unable to attend. He said that as the government spokesman, the media can refer to him for confirmation of any issues that need to be verified.
Pejabat saya dan pihak kementerian sedang berbincang dengan beberapa badan penyiaran untuk kita sediakan maklumat yang lebih terperinci menyeluruh tentang aktiviti-aktiviti kerajaan perpaduan, kerana sebenarnya banyak maklumat yang disampaikan dan kita ingin memberi penegasan kepada pencapaian-pencapaian dan kejayaan-kejayaan yang dilakukan ya. Jadi insya-Allah mulai minggu depan ia akan disiarkan ya dalam slot-slot berita yang tertentu.
Meanwhile, in his speech, Fahmi said that KKD agencies such as the Information Department Japan, Malaysia National News Agency Bernama, and Radio Television Malaysia RTM must help the government to explain the concept of Madani to the public. 2 men were charged in the Selangor Magistrates Court today with the murder of a Bangladeshi welder whose body was found with the hands and feet tied by roadside last year. Iron factory worker Mad Mujibur Rahman, 30, who is also a Bangladeshi, and unemployed Malaysian K. Viswanathan, 57, noted after the charge was read out to them before Magistrate Nur Hafiza Rajuni. No plea, however, was recorded that the case is under jurisdiction of the High Court. The two men, both unrepresented, were jointly charged under Section 302 of the Penal Code with murdering Khalid Sheikh, 41, by the roadside of Jalan Bestari Jaya, Rawang, Batu Arang in Kuala Lumpur between 9 p.m. and 9:40 p.m. on 29th of December last year. They faced a death sentence if found guilty of the offence, and the court fixed 5th of April for mention. Coming up in our foreign segment, Australia intensifies search for missing radioactive capsule. Australian authorities today said they were still searching for a tiny radioactive capsule missing somewhere in the Arctic as they deployed more personnel and specialised detection equipment to search for it. Daryl Ray, Incident Controller for the Fire and Emergency Services Department, said teams from the Australian Radiation Protection and Nuclear Safety Agency and Australian Nuclear Science and Technology Organisation were providing assistance to locate the capsule. Ray added the search area encompassed the Perth metropolitan area up till a mine site north of Newman, where the capsule was picked up from, and the search was expected to be concluded by Friday. The capsule is believed to have fallen from a road train, a truck with multiple trailers, and its loss has triggered a radiation alert for large parts of the vast state. Authorities suspect variations from the truck and caused the screws and the bolt to come loose, and the capsule fell out of the package and then out of a cab in the truck as it made a 1,400-kilometre journey in Western Australia state. A journalist was among nearly 2 dozen people sentenced today in Uzbekistan on charges related to fatal anti-regime protests in the former Soviet Republic last year. Authorities have said 21 people died during the unrest, which was sparked by unplanned reforms that would have undermined the right to self-determination in the country's autonomous Republic of Pakistan. The violence in Nukus, the main city in Pakistan, forced the Central Asian nation's president, Shavkat Mirziyoyev, to make a rare about-face and scrap the proposal. 22 people went on trial over the demonstrations on various charges, including undermining constitutional order and looting. All defendants either pleaded guilty or admitted to being guilty of some violations. 16 people were sentenced to jail terms, including the main defendant, journalist and lawyer, Dalat Murad Tazi Muratov, who authorities say instigated the protests. He was sentenced to 16 years behind bars. 2 more defendants received suspended sentences, and 4 others have had their freedom of movement restricted. Unions around France took to the streets today on a second nationwide day of protests and strikes against the government's pensions reform plan. The strikes also disrupted French electricity production, public transport and schools. In the western French city of Saint-Nazaire, thousands of protesters donned orange vests, held flares and marched with placards to protest the government's plans that would see the retirement age raised to 64 from 62 and would also delay the age of eligibility for a full pension. Only a third of high-speed TGV trains were operating, and even fewer local and regional trains. The Paris Metro was also seriously disrupted, with some usually bustling stations early empty. Opinion polls show most French people already angry with the cost of living crisis fueled by high inflation, opposed the reform, but President Emmanuel Macron intends to stand his ground. He said the reform is indispensable to ensure the viability of the pension system. According to Labour Ministry estimates, these measures will yield an additional 17.7 billion euros in annual pension contributions. Coming up in sports, KBS seeks more tax incentives for sponsors of sports events. Track cyclist Datuk Muhammad Azizul Hasni Awang wrote a new chapter in the Malaysian sports history by winning the 2021 National Sportsman Award for the fifth time today. In the National Sports Awards ceremony held at the National Sports Council, MSN in Bukit Jalil, the Bukit Rocketman added the crown to his tally of awards that he had won in 2009, 2010, 2017 and 2019-2020. He surpasses the achievements of national badminton icons Datuk Lee Chong Wei and Datuk Rashid Sidi, as well as bodybuilder Sazali Samad, who have all won the award 4 times respectively. Datuk Azizul Hasni's notable achievement in 2021 was winning a silver medal in the men's keirin event at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, as well as winning the sprint event at the Elite Victoria Track Cycling Championships and a silver in the keirin event at the 2021 Victoria Championships in Australia. The former world champion overcame shuttlers Aaron Chia and So Woo Yik, who clinched a bronze medal at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics through the men's doubles. Buddha Ansha of bodybuilding, Ng Yan Yo of squash and Sharifuddin Azman of motorsports. Meanwhile, national diving queen Dato' Pandalela Rinong was crowned the national sportswoman for the 4th time, with the previous awards coming in 2011, 2012 and 2015. Pandalela, who was also the winner in 2011, 2012 and 2015, claimed the world title in the individual 10-meter platform at the 2021 World Diving Championships in Japan to claim the award ahead of squash players Rachel Arnold and Aifa Azman, Melora Dora Jimmy of bodybuilding and Nur Amisha Azri Rizal of Muay Thai. Powerlifting world record holder Boni Bunya Agustin, who swept the gold medal at the 2020 Tokyo Paralympics, was crowned as the National Paralympic Sportsman winner, while swimmer Brenda Anelia Larry was named the National Paralympic Sportswoman. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has thrown down the gauntlet to Malaysian athletes to make history by bagging the country's first Olympic gold medal at the 2024 Paris Games. The Premier said this is no mission impossible if all parties, including the Youth and Sports Ministry, association sports bodies and athletes, play their respective roles and give their best. Elaborating, Datuk Sri Anwar said although athletes must be open to and accept any decision that is made during competitions, what needs to be inculcated in them is that they must always strive to do their very best. The Prime Minister said it must also be emphasised to the athletes that there is no compromise to working hard in training.
Kita usaha dan ikhtiar sebaik mungkin dan kita tawakal lah lepas itu, ya. Tidak boleh menuntut lebih berat. Jadi saya terima baik. Kita mesti cuba dengan sedaya upaya, tidak ada tolak ansur, tetapi kita harus terima kenyataan bahawa dalam apa-apa persaingan kita harus terima baik keputusan yang adil dan bijaksana.
The Premier said this in his speech at the 2021 National Sports Awards ASN ceremony held at the National Sports Council MSN Banquet Hall in Bukit Jalil today. The 2024 Paris Gold Programme is part of the NSC's existing podium programme that is divided into 2 groups of athletes, namely those capable of qualifying and those with the potential to deliver the gold medal. The Youth and Sports Ministry, KBS, will hold discussions with the Ministry of Finance, MOF, before the retabling of Budget 2023 on the 24th of February in a continuous effort to obtain more tax incentives for the corporate sector to sponsor the hosting of sports events. Its Minister Hannah Yeoh said although it had been unsuccessful every year, it will not give up on requesting the MOF to provide more tax incentives for the organisation of sports events.
KBS maklumkan setiap tahun bajet mereka akan cuba minta daripada Kementerian Kewangan untuk insentif cukai yang lebih menarik bagi corporate sponsors. Dan untuk sukan ni selalunya kita tak boleh charge orang mahal. Dia isu gaya hidup. Okay? Dan kita nak kanak-kanak belia. So pendekatan terhadap sukan mesti berubah.
Speaking to reporters after a town hall session with the sports industry at Menara KBS today, she said the sports industry would continue to wither when government allocation reduces, no tax incentives are given for corporate sponsors, and no encouragement is given to organisers to seek the sponsors. Hannah also believes that the sports industry has the potential to be one of the sectors that can contribute to the country's economic growth. On another matter, Hannah said the ministry has asked the National Sports Council (MSN) to investigate a national female hockey player who allegedly made racist remarks on social media recently. Hannah also urged the MSN to get help from the Malaysian Hockey Confederation (MRC) to investigate the matter.
Setelah saya mendapat pandangan daripada MSN, kita akan buat keputusan. Okey, jadi hari ini MSN akan bincang dengan Malaysia Hockey. Okey. Saya telah maklumkan kepada Datuk Subahan juga.
An Instagram account holder using the @Nihanis handle, believed to be the country's women's team hockey player, allegedly left a racist comment on an Instagram post related to the concert of a famous Indian singer and composer, which was held recently in Kuala Lumpur. After realising her comment had gone viral and sparked anger among netizens, she posted an apology on her Instagram story today. Hani said she realised that the comment had caused many parties to be affected, adding that she had deleted the comment. Relegation threatened Everton have appointed former Burnley boss Sean Dyche as a new manager to replace the sacked Frank Lampard. Dyche, who has agreed a 2.5-year contract, has a tough first matchup against Premier League leaders Arsenal at Goodison Park on Saturday. Lampard was sacked last week after a run of 9 defeats in 12 Premier League matches, with a dismal defeat at relegation rivals West Ham proving the final straw in his troubled reign. The 51-year-old said it was an honour to take over at the Merseyside club, who have not won any silverware since 1995. This was sacked by Burnley last April before the club's relegation from the Premier League. He overachieved at the Clarets during his 10-year reign, leading them to promotion from the Championship twice and keeping them in the Premier League for several years. He also guided Burnley to the first European qualification in half a century after 7th place finish in the 2017-18 season. That concludes this evening's News at 10. In our top story, more than 15,000 restaurants offering B40 friendly menu rahmah from today. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Nur Zamri. Stay tuned to saluran Berita RTM and have a good night.